a one-on-one, but I honestly want to know like more about you. But if you're not comfortable with that, we could just talk about me. Like,
No, we can, dude. It's everything's up to you. If you want to know more about me, fine. If you want to vent about your shit, fine. Like I'm cool with it. I just like talking to people, honestly.
not yeah, like that's what I noticed about like I obviously dated a narcissist, and I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not a doctor. I couldn't diagnose her, but after the fact, like I all the signs are there. Like I would willing to bet money. Like if she went to a doctor, she'd be somewhere on like the cluster B spectrum, you know.
Sure. Yeah.
But like, yeah, I've seen a lot of your videos, but have you, like, told your story of maybe how I know that's super sensitive, how you got to be a narcissist? I feel like you have said a
Ooh. So like how I became a narcissist, or how I like
maybe
discovered
you think
I was a narcissist.
how maybe you think you got to be one or, like, because they say, right, that it's like,
So this
yeah,
one,
yeah,
this
I
is
can
a lot. It's a lot to get into because let me put it this way: my childhood wasn't pleasant, and in fact, it sucked. But and that is what it is. I do think that contributed greatly to me developing pathological narcissism. Um, just, but like it's going through my childhood is probably not. It's going to take a long time, and also probably not the most enjoyable experience. I do have a video of it on my YouTube that every day I think about taking down because I'm embarrassed of it. But you know,
I think we all do cringy stuff on YouTube.
yeah,
I mean, this is not nothing I'm proud of too, like, I feel kind of like, how did some 90-pound girl just completely
just turn
take
your life upside down. That's the power of us, man. Us narcissists. We can just fuck you up.
it's insane how we kinda see the red flags too, and you just kind of ignore them. But, I mean, that I feel like that happens in all relationships, right? Like, like, I don't know, you
Well,
just
you're
do
excited about a new relationship, right? And you see some red flags, you're like, oh well, maybe I'm just reading into things too much. Then next thing you know, your fucking life is a goddamn mess. You don't know what the hell's going on. But you know, I think it's natural for anybody to ignore some red flags at the beginning, even if the ones that someone like me would exhibit are a little bit more intense, so to speak. It doesn't really. I mean, like nobody can blame anybody for wanting to see the best in somebody and think that, oh, this will be a relationship that will actually make me happy.
one of the things that I don't like about just all the content on narcissism is I know people like there's so many like Christians. It's like so a big thing in America, right? Like maybe we're like I'm in California, so
Yes.
everyone's a person, but like I think you're like more middle America, so there's you probably see a lot of like the Bible bearing type of people. It's
Yeah.
just like it's a demon. It's whatever. Like I don't like it's a person, right? Like just how if just say you're an empath doesn't mean you like have some kind of psychic ability, right? Like you're just a person. It's just
It's
a
bizarre. It feels like people like because I get those comments a lot too of like, "Oh my God, you're possessed by you. You're possessed by the Jezebel spirit," and I'm like, I don't think you even know what Jezebel means then, but whatever.
yeah.
And but it's like you do watch all this content about narcissism, and I sometimes I read this stuff and I feel like I'm a fucking daywalker or something because they describe me as like some almost mythical creature that's going around just like sucking the souls out of people. And I'm like, no, I'm a dude who has these maladaptive defense mechanisms that ends up hurting myself mainly, and the people around me, and that sucks. But I don't think painting us like these weird, like we're in a fucking Tolkien book, is doing anybody any favors. That's not getting me into therapy, that's for sure.
That's exactly what my point. I'm like, is this really helping? I mean, because if it's helping you, like, then sure, pretend they're like
Yeah.
some magical creature. But at least for me, it doesn't do anything. It just kind of what it does, I think, is it pushes down the problems, and then you just get into another dysfunctional relationship.
You're able to be like, well, I didn't do anything wrong. This evil master manipulator just wronged me this entire relationship, and I have no work on myself to do. It's all this guy. And it's like, don't get me wrong, there can be a little bit of a one-sidedness in terms of harming the relationship, but I think anybody can grow, no matter how toxic a relationship was for you. There's something to take away from that. There's some way to grow from that, in my opinion, at least. And we want to reduce it to evil perpetrator and then victim. And those are the only two groups that you can be in half the time. And the narcissist is obviously the evil perpetrator.
I mean, that's just human nature, right? We just try to like categorize things because it's easier.
Yeah, I'm out here being like, hey, fucking, I'm the one supposed to be thinking in black and white. Can you guys like chill out?
What I was gonna say is, dude, like I don't know, like I don't know. I've read so many books. Like I've always been like since I was a kid, 9, 10 years old. I've
Yeah,
always been into like psychology and all that weird stuff. So like I felt like I was untouchable, right? Like I felt like I was really good at relationships, especially like I was like that guy that was like you know a city boy, and I felt like I understand relationship. And then look what happened.
yeah,
So, but my point is, people like I ended up learning so much like from the person I dated, the narcissist I dated, I guess. And the thing is, I feel like people end up like I ended up being narcissistic towards the end of it. Do you feel like a lot of people you date end up like acting like you? Like I did things I would never do. I cheated on her. Like I've never done that before in a relationship. I'm like not saying that it's not my fault. Like take responsibility for what I did, but I kind of became her, and I kinda like I honestly, I kinda envy narcissists a little bit where, where like Donald Trump I like the successfulness about it, right? Like, I feel
sure.
like the narcissists have, like, a superpower almost, like
It feels like it sometimes. Because I will say, you know, if narcissism was a superpower, it wouldn't be a mental disorder. Like we mess up our lives so much that like trust me, the cons outweigh the pros. I
yeah,
think it's just kind of a different way of cognition that if we can learn to handle our shit and fucking function society, then it's just a different way of thinking. You know, like somebody's autistic, they think differently, et cetera, et cetera. But that being said, in terms of my exes acting like me, so this is something I thought out a lot because people would always come to me say like, "Oh, like I ended up acting narcissistic in the relationship," and I was like, really? That's interesting. My exes fell apart. Like my exes just became super insecure and like very needy, very self-destructive. And at first I was like, I don't really see how that can happen. But then, but the thing is, I don't stay in a relationship. I never stayed in a relationship for longer than like 5 months when I was because like how long was your relationship?
well, we, like it was official for 3 months, and we were dating for 3 months.
Okay, so around 6 months or so, give or take. So yeah, like that was my longest relationship was 5 months. So and I've dated quite a few people. Um, and what I kind of realized is that you know the projection that comes with narcissism, right? People assume that that's like blaming you for everything, right? No, we're projecting how we actually feel onto you. So I'm in a relationship, and the person I'm with, this is the feedback I've gotten at least, is I make them feel isolated. I make them feel lonely, unlovable. Like they're trying to fill up a hole in me that I just they don't mean anything to me. They feel basically worthless. I'm projecting my own sense of worthlessness subconsciously onto them. I'm making them feel how I feel deep down. And then you're around this person all the time who is struggling with the same things that you are now struggling because they put all that shit on you. And how do you see them cope with it? You see them cope with it by being a narcissist. So subconsciously, this is all my opinion, by the way. Subconsciously, I think that you're going to start looking at these at what they're doing, being like, oh well, I guess I have like this is the way to fix it, and not even realize you're doing it until you're kind of out of it and realize that you don't need to be doing that because you know you don't actually feel like you're worthless. This person is making you feel worthless. Did that make sense?
No, that actually makes a ton of sense. It might not make a ton of sense. We probably both read a lot of like the research and stuff on psychology, so that's it makes
Sure.
sense that
Okay.
in that. Um, people like whoever if like you end up kind of adopting their traits, but because like especially when I guess when you have a personality disorder, you're such a high like well, not extreme, but like you're such an intense person that
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I'll take that. Yeah.
adopt someone's traits. Like, and that's honestly it was exciting. Like, no people wouldn't stay if yeah you get trauma bonded and all that stuff, but why you liked it because it's intense. And like honestly, the same way that people judge or sorry narcissists that they're this magical being that like empaths too, like, it's just a term, like, it's a silly term, but it's just the colloquialism or whatever that people are using right now. but really we're kind of like people, we're like pushovers. Like the best thing I learned from her is like how to I'm like super I'm like more assertive now. I'm like I I, I thought I was like I said, I thought I had all this stuff figured out. I thought I had people figured out, but even though I've gotten better over the years, like I guess because they say narcissist and like the empath, highly sensitive person is more of a term that is acceptable. That's like a real term.
Sure.
Uh, but they say we kind of grew up in the same environment, and instead of the empath, instead of becoming a narcissist, kind of like start just like people pleasing in a sense, like being like a pushover, and we, what's the word? I I I thought, like I said, I thought I was being like assertive. I thought I had like healthy boundaries and all that. But once I dated the narcissist, I realized like no, like even the people that even the people other than the narcissist, I still let people like kind of walk all over me. Like I was still a people pleaser, and that's like the like what I learned is just to be more assertive and not and like take charge. Like it's hard to explain, but
I
I
I
I
kind of get what you mean. I actually have a friend who she's a fellow influencer friend of mine, and if you're interested, I can send you some of her stuff. But she identifies as an empath, and she thinks being an empath is a personality disorder.
yeah, I think so. I think I might be like on the spectrum of like autism or something. Like there's
Maybe.
some I'm no angel either.
Mm. And the thing is that that's why we kind of have to take a step back and be like as you were saying, it's like no, we can't like label these people as basically like fictional characters, more like these mythical creatures. It's we have certain sets of defense mechanisms because I would argue that being a empath is a defense mechanism in a way, at least the traits that you exhibit and stuff like that. And we have to learn how to be able to cope with those in a healthy way or apply them in healthy ways and realize it's like, oh, I'm not like completely different from all of humanity. It's just I got these traits that are going to affect my life in different ways than other people would.
One of the things that's really interesting me about narcissists is this concept, because like it's to get like into the nitty gritty of what psychology really is, 'cause it's really just more of like an art than a science. But when they say a narcissist has like a false self, is what I try to get people to realize, and it'll help you snap out of like the bond you have with this. Like some people like ruminate and can't let this person go. Like I've been there too. um we all kind of have like a false self. We all have like a personality that we but a lot of people don't know that. That's like a really weird like spiritual hippie thing that people don't know. We all have like this personality that you don't necessarily have to be. If that makes any sense at all. Does that make any sense?
We all have parts of ourselves that we're trying to hide from everybody else.
Yeah.
Like with narcissists, I would argue it's a little bit different. Just like to it's to an extreme, obviously, and the more I feel like the more pertinent thing when it comes to narcissists is the fact that like we don't have a true self. If that like okay, we do, but it's like we don't know, like we can't connect to whoever that true self is, so to speak. And we're predominated by this need to perform and to appear as the greatest and smartest person who's ever lived, right? But the tactics that the narcissists use the narcissist Jesus one people like me use are they're tactics that everybody uses, just not to the same degree of like just not as pervasively, right? You're going to go like if like let's say like you have like an interview or something like that, like imagine that like honestly going to an interview and you're basically putting on your best self trying to present like very put together and charismatic and like friendly and whatever other positive attributes you can think of, whatever you think is appealing to this employer. Being a narcissist is just basically being always in an interview. It's something we all do. It's just the only thing that makes it pathological is that we are always doing it.
Well, one of the points I try to get across is we're all human beings, and exactly right. You all have these, right? We all have the same bodies, and we all use them. But when something is a personality disorder, it means that like the way you use your like perceptions and how you talk to people are just skewed to like a very to a point where it's you can't function healthily in the world. And that's what like people don't get about psychology. It's just there's like a baseline of normal, of what's normal in society, and then that like maybe you've heard of Sam Vaknin. Obviously, he says that
Yeah, exactly.
in like certain parts of history, it was normal to be this very terrible person, and like I feel like maybe not. I think I've read this before. I saw it somewhere where like in a tribe, like way back in the day, like a narcissist was that guy that like went and like attacked the other village, and like he was like not. the intense person, the warrior. He was a warrior that like that useful back then. But now because we live in a society where there's rules and all this BS, you can't act that way, right? There's
Sure, yeah.
just an idea.
No, and like I agree. It's that like that's the issue. That's the thing that I always try to emphasize about personality disorders. It's like there's nothing inherently wrong about having a personality disorder. It's just the context that it's in. Because I can't be a narcissist in normal society and function well. Because like we have our range of normalcy, and normalcy is just being able to function in society and not be miserable and not make everybody around you miserable, basically, or and not die. but for and for someone with a personality disorder, you're getting to a point that your interpersonal life is being harmed, your work life is being harmed, et cetera, et cetera. That doesn't mean that there's a flaw in the personality. It means that this personality is not meant for this society. That's at least my opinion on it, at least. Because I mean, I think sometimes it's like, how would I function in a society of narcissists? If everyone in the world was a narcissist, would I be higher functioning? Because we would have a society built around in basically enabling narcissistic behavior.
Yeah, well, that's like the thing. Everyone's like, not everyone, but like guys like Jordan Peterson are saying, like, well, if everyone's a narcissist, then society wouldn't function. And honestly, I'm not smart enough to answer that question, but it may be right. Everyone's just like wants the best for themselves, and I guess maybe society wouldn't be able to function. Maybe I'm not
Maybe.
smart, but um, another thing I tell people is I I've had like I've read like every book you could think of on like how to like improve yourself, whether it was through like reading the Bible, whether it was
Yeah.
psychology, all this weird stuff. Because I was in a point where super depressed, like I couldn't get out of it. And like I said, I feel like I'm somewhere. Like people always say, like I'm just weird. I'm a weirdo. Like maybe I'm somewhere on like the autism spectrum or something. My point being that I changed. Like if I used to be so shy that I couldn't like order food at a restaurant. So and now like I'll go talk to strangers and like do
Yeah.
like you would never think that I was that person before. And my point in saying that is I feel everyone's capable of change, like because I've seen it myself, I've seen it in other people, and I mean Sam Backman says that his like cold therapy thing can like change, like if you get a narcissist when they're young, you could kind of change them. So I feel like you're not like people say like, "Oh, you can't help a narcissist, they're beyond help." I'm like, I don't think anyone like if I can make my weird self function in society, like I think
Yeah.
mm,
No, I agree 100%. Like, I cannot. Okay, like, okay, I worked at a prison, so I'm thinking some kind of extreme examples. So I'm going to exclude like crime people for now because that's a whole other conversation. But
yeah,
but like, I have not met a single person in my life who I have not been super confident that they can change if they really want to. Right? Research actually shows there's a study that was done about the remission about treatment with narcissistic personality disorder, and over a 2-year treatment period over 50% of the narcissists in the study went into remission. So obviously, change is possible. Like, will we still be narcissists? Sure, we're still going to think like one and stuff like that, but we can change our behaviors to function in society and be kind to everybody around us. And I feel like it's such a deductive and just despondent view that people have of narcissists can't change. It's like, well, we won't be normal, quote unquote, but like by saying that we can't change, that definitive statement, even if you hate all narcissists, don't you see how that's damaging? It's damaging to say things like that because, like, even if you hate every single narcissist who has ever existed, you are now discouraging narcissists from getting help and trying to get better so that it don't hurt other people. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And it's insane that people let their hate rule them to this degree that they are basically being detrimental to the well-being of people who are being hurt by narcissists and for narcissists themselves.
Yeah, honestly, that's pretty narcissistic. They're saying like, "No, I know best, and I know narcissists. I know."
Yeah, they can't change. They're
Yeah,
possessed by demons, so
it's just yeah. Like one of the reasons I say all that stuff, and it's the point I'm trying to get across to the people that watch my videos is like I said, I've read all the books, and what resonated and what helped me the most was just Buddhism, and like it's a very complicated subject, but basically he said that there is no true self. Like there is like that thing in your head that says I'm me, blah blah blah. Like that's not real. Like you just basically human beings begin as like a blank slate, and you can see some evidence of this. And if you've ever heard of like feral children, like they're
frail children.
feral children. It's like kids somehow like they get abandoned when they're young and like they've been raised by wolves. Yeah, look it up. And then
Oh, yeah, yeah, I've heard about that before, yeah.
so what does that mean? That means that like we're basically just like we start off like this blank piece of paper and like all of our life experiences write down on this piece of paper. But what like meditating and stuff makes you realize is you can get an eraser and erase that stuff to a certain degree and like rewrite like who you are.
Yeah,
That's
100%.
most of it. And I that's what like I think at least in theory, like you should be able to but we're all gonna like I'm always gonna be that weird shy kid. Like I'm always gonna but I fight through it and I think that's what like a narcissist would like if somehow therapy or whatever, you
Yeah.
can fight that feeling of being a narcissist maybe. Like I've never been one. I'm not one, I guess, maybe. And
Yeah, right, right. But you
sometimes
never
I
know for sure.
after that relationship, like, I would do some things like, "Oh, that was kinda mean, like, where did that come from?" But that's what I get, like, dude, like, for real, where I was like a dick for a while, but maybe
Yeah.
it's just anger, maybe it was just, like I think I just calibrated because I was, like, I would let people, like, talk to me a certain like, "Why?" Like, but now I stand up for myself, and it's, like, evened out, I guess.
I mean, we all need some healthy narcissistic traits, right? If we can take on a little bit of narcissism to get our shit done, then not a bad idea.
That's what I say all the time, like, you guys should take a play out of, the Narcissist Playbook, because you don't stand up enough for yourself, you're not, like you don't, like I don't know, I'm guessing a lot of this stuff, but I'm sure, like, you analyze people, like, what I noticed about, the person I dated is she was kinda, like, very calculating and, like, she, like I loved her, like I loved and hated the fact that she was very, matter of fact, where, like, if this isn't benefiting me, then I'm just gonna let it go. Like, damn emotions. Like, I want the money. I want this, whatever. I don't know. I kind of is that I kind of like you kind of admire. Why do we they say Trump is a narcissist. Why do we elect Trump? Like, because people admire when you're like a go getter and like you're assertive and like they're usually very like good at talking and convincing the people. That's like I said, like I was that shy kid. So anyone who has like the skill, like the gift of gab, is like really alluring to me. Like I'm like that's really cool. Like I wish I was
Yeah.
like that.
I mean, hell, to this day, like, I mean, I relate to your, like, saying, like, oh, like, you used to be shy. Because, like, because that was part of, like, how I made my, like, full self, so to speak. Because, like, I hated myself for not being outgoing. I hate myself for being weird, for not being charismatic, for not being funny and stuff like that. And so I did this whole thing of, like, remaking myself, basically, of, like, this is the ideal, this is what I'm going to become. And even to this day, it doesn't feel real. It doesn't feel real to like be charismatic, to be outgoing. It feels like I'm forcing it all the time.
Yeah, me too.
Um, and it's like, and like, but like, that in terms of extroversion, I see that a lot with some extroverts where they're like, oh, well, like, yeah, this doesn't, like, I had to fake it till I made it, basically. So I relate to that a lot. I don't remember where the fuck I was going with that. Anyways, I apologize.
Going on these tangents, it's so like I honestly sometimes I get lost in that. In that,
Yeah, same.
it, it's I, I'm actually I'll be 31 soon, so like I feel like there's like a bit of an age like that age gap. Yeah, everyone says I look like I'm 19, but um the point is, I do that too. I don't know if that's like a me thing, but I feel like I absorb people's like traits and personalities that I like. Maybe because, like I said, I relate a lot to narcissists and like a lot of their personality traits because I kind of do the same things. Like I said, like they say that the empath thing or highly sensitive
Yeah.
person is like just the other side of the coin. And I feel like throughout my life, I've always adopted because I didn't know how to like I was awkward. I didn't know how to so I was like, "Oh, that's how you talk to people, and that's how you blah blah blah." And yeah, like the more I faked it, like today, I still feel like I'm faking it. Like I know that I'm faking it, but it's more second nature now. Where before I
Yeah.
had to like try really hard, but now I just talk and I'm loud and I'm not.
Yeah,
I don't.
it's that's the beauty about being extroverted is that it's just yeah, just say everything with confidence and really loudly, and people like you for some reason. Nah, but
Yeah, that's like one of the secrets to YouTube. If you just talk really loud and like you know what you're talking about, even if it's complete BS, that then people. Yeah.
saying
Oh man. Whew. What uh, Have you so you weren't always a very, like, outgoing social person? Is that something you had to develop or you
So so this is something that I'm trying really hard to like be able to put into words better. I need to make a video about it or something.
Hmm,
Because so I have a lot of narcissist friends, right? And we all kind of describe the same sort of series of events. So know them just not talking out my ass here. This isn't just me. I know this is a parallel. We
hmm,
feel like we killed our old selves. Uh, I look back on who I used to be when I was like, say, I would say anywhere from because I have a different relationship with whoever I used to be, like 5 and before, but 5 years old to like end of middle school, early high school, something like that. That's the old me. That's not me. That's like that feels like a completely separate person. And that person was stupid, ugly, fat, fucking awkward, weird, whatever. Like every insult you can think of is how I feel towards that person. And I remember vividly there was a like looking in the mirror and just like thinking, I don't want to be me anymore. I just like I was just staring at the mirror thinking how much I fucking hated myself, how disgusting I was. And I wasn't going to be me anymore. I was going to change myself. I was going to start pretending to be this new person. And I started basically like going out and like figuring out what is it that will make people like me? What will make me perfect? What are these traits that I need? And over the course of like a few months, years, I created a completely different persona to the point that when I was and like as I always say, like I killed my old self. I remember talking to my friend at the time, like one of the closest friends I had back then, and I told them, I was like, I feel I was how old was I? I was 15, and I told them I've been pretending for so long I don't remember who I was, who I am. And even from that young, I fucking felt like I was just like this fake, this just persona that I created. And that's how it's always felt since then. I don't feel like there's a real me to be known. It's just that there's this shell that I've created.
that's super see, yeah, I didn't relate with that, like, I kind of at the core, I know who I am in a
You're
sense.
like, whoa, that was a lot.
It wasn't a lot, but I'm like, that was one thing because, like I said, I relate a lot with you guys, but
Yeah,
that was I don't get, like, I think I do have that solid sense of identity.
jealous.
You know what people will love is, people are weird, like, they wanna know if this person that hurt them and treated them so wrong are still thinking about them. Do you still think about your exes?
Oh, well, like when you
Like,
say
do
it
you
like that, I'm like, maybe I shouldn't say that I do, but yeah, I do. I'll give a few examples even, because there's some. So there's my, yeah, I think about all my exes. Fuck, I'm insane. Um, some of them, it's like there's kind of a I'll just get drunk and I'll get like in such like this headspace of what did I do? Or like, oh, I miss them, stuff like that. But like I can't show people that I fucking miss them. That'd look pathetic, so I don't. Um
That's everyone, yeah.
yeah, like there's like a longing there. And like for some of them there's like this feeling of like this person was so good to me, they were perfect for me. Why did I fuck things up the way that I did? Um and that hits me sometimes, like really bad. But but I will say, if anybody sees this, don't reach out to your ex just because you think that they missed you. Because I mean, I'm sure that you guys are broken up for a reason. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I think everybody to some degree thinks about their exes. Narcissists do too, because we're people, and we probably actually obsess a little bit more about it than other people do. We just try to show everybody that we don't and that we don't care ever.
You know, I think, like, the people who describe themselves as empaths are kind of the same. We, like, have this I don't know how true it is, that whole, like, snapshotting thing where we have, like, this image that we can't let go because
Yeah.
people aren't we know, right? You know in your head, "Oh, this person's treating me wrong," but you still want them and you still stay with them. I think it's because people have, like, that we kind of probably have that same thing where we can't get rid of that, like, image of you in our mind, but it's not
That, like it's funny because when I'm in a relationship for a long time, it feels like the only time I can like appreciate that image, so to speak, is when I'm away from them. Like they immediately go back to being my idealized version of them as soon as fucking I'm away from them.
Yeah, because 'cause you're not dealing with reality. Because when you're in front of them and now they're all not.
Oh, it's like, wait, you have faults? Fuck this. I wasn't never in love with you. Then I try to remember them, and I remember the perfect version of them, and it's like, oh wait, no, come back, please.
Well, the more you're with them, the more they, like, kind of get depressed and down, and the more, like, that it's hard to idealize them when, like, reality is slapping you in the face, right? Like,
Yeah, it is. Oh, one other thing funny actually. What the exes I think about the least are the ones that like I stayed friends with afterwards.
that's the ones you like the least?
The ones I think about the least are the ones that I'm still friends with.
Friends meaning, can I ask, like, do you talk to them regularly, or you just are you cordial with them still?
Oh, yeah, pretty regularly. I would say like I'm thinking about one ex right now. She was a funny case because I obsessed over her for a while, but basically she so she was so basically she ignored me for like 3 days and claimed it was because of her finals. And I was like, well, I'll show this bitch that like I don't give a that like she like don't take me for granted, bitch. And I drive from Ohio to Washington D.C. and don't tell anybody and just send her a selfie of me with my female friend there, just like, hey, this is what's going on. And so like, yeah, that relationship didn't work out. But but like, but yeah, like me and her are still friends nowadays. Me and her are friends, and I barely think about her. Like I'll text her relatively frequent, relatively speaking, but like I never have a thought of like, oh, what could have been or anything like that. That's almost exclusively for the people that I don't talk to.
But that people do that kind of stuff in relationships all the time. You see all those memes on TikTok, like, "I got revenge on my ex." It's not, maybe these people don't necessarily have a personality disorder, but especially in, like, these days, people are so toxic and they're like,
Yeah,
and it's, I think it's the phone has a lot to do with it, because like, I kinda see that too, where, like, recently my ex is, like, trying to, because I still have her on, like, WhatsApp, and I could see, like, the outline of the story. I don't look at them because I know that's
yeah.
bad. I gotta be toxic. But, I could see that she's, like, posting videos, or, like, I could see that the story has, like, another guy in there, so she's, like, trying to, I think she's trying to get my attention. Like, this is such a deep thing, like, it's weird, like, like I said, I can't hate people, like, even though she's, like, we've done that same thing too, where I broke up with her the first time. I think that's why, and then she wanted to get revenge, and we got back together, and then she would, like, discard me, and then I discard her. Like, it's been so back and forth so many times, and I actually asked Cluster B Milkshake about this.
Or
Um, yeah, Sarah, and then,
Sarah's my girl.
yeah, you guys are all pretty tight knit. It's cool. Um, I asked her, like, because the last time I saw her was, like, 3 months ago. Uh, it was so, like, brutal, like, the way she just, like, the things she said to me and stuff, like, and I'm not, like, I don't want sympathy or whatever, like, that's one of the things I noticed about too
I
her.
don't feel empathy. It's fine.
They hate, like, when you, like, one time she was, like, sick, and I was like, "Oh," like, like, trying to console her. He's like, "I don't want your sym." No. What is that? Like, they
Well,
don't,
we think that you're pitying us.
it well, oh, you think, but, like, oh, because you don't get
Yeah.
empathy, right?
Yep.
Uh,
We think it's pity. Like it's like, oh, you poor thing. Like I would get angry at that.
yeah, she got mad. She's like, "I don't want your pity. I'm fine." Like, sick in
Yeah,
bed, like,
exactly. Because we don't understand like what it is to like sympathize with somebody at that level. It's no, it's like one of the closest things to compassion that we actively feel is pity. And pity has this inherent meaning of like you're above the person that you're pitying and shit like that. So that's what we're wanting to take it as.
but what I'll say is, I asked Sarah, so she did, what did I say to her? So she discarded me, but, like, in the end, I've seen shame on her face before, but this time, because it was so bad and whatever,
Yeah.
like, but the point is, she told me, like, "I'm not a good person, like, I can't give you what you want." You could see, like, the sadness, and like, because obviously she always, like, has that mask, and she's always, like, has that tough, but to me, maybe I'm just trying to brainwash myself or try to make myself feel good, but I feel like whatever little bits of, like, love and empathy that she had, like I sucked them. Like, oh, that's like weird way to say it, but like I like took them out of her, like right, or like she kind of like released me from like because it was so back and forth, and like I think she finally was like, I'm like hurting this person. Do you think? I don't know. That's what I try
That
to get.
was.
She actually did it for her, or
I feel like your question is, was she trying to manipulate me by saying those things?
that's because in the moment I was like, oh, this is like I actually got some sympathy out of her and like empathy. But then later I'm like, was it just a manipulating tactic so she can go hang out with her new supply? Which my
It
face.
was not manipulative. No, it was like let me put like that was mainly out of shame. I would say like because I have been in that situation before where I have like just started hating myself so much where I start self-deprecating, saying I'm not good enough for you. I'm a terrible person. Like you deserve so much better than me and stuff like that. Let me put it this way: it probably wasn't out of sympathy the way that you know it, but it was genuine. Those were her genuine thoughts and feelings at the time. It was probably more out of self hate, but it wasn't her trying to manipulate you. I would put money on that.
That makes sense. Yeah, because like yeah, like it's still like under the narcissism lens. So she's doing it like it's a me thing, but it's a me thing of like a true expression of her. Like yeah, it's about like saving face and like because it was in
Yeah.
front of her, probably trying to save face and all that. But it's true what happened. Like that's another thing I say. Like people think that narcissists are like you're in your house like rubbing your hands together like
Yeah. Fucking twirling my mustache with my cat on my lap, being like,
you're drawing like yeah, like a blueprints on how to like, okay, I'm gonna do this in this situation and like manipulate these people. Say this is say
we're
this is
running off of instinct, bro. We have no clue what's going on half the time.
not that serious. It's not a movie. It's just a person with a personality disorder. Just like how well, you're an empath and you do all these weird like weirdo things where you just keep getting mistreated by someone who's obviously mistreating. It's like it's just
Yeah.
other like yeah.
We're just all broken people. Like for like, it's not as deep as you want to say it is.
It really is, like, we all just everyone's so traumatized is what I've noticed about the world. Everyone kind of
Life's
just
fucking rough. Okay, if you don't mind me asking, I'm kind of curious. What did Sarah say about that situation?
it's it was on one of her lives. I'll maybe I can link it to you because I
Okay.
so it's like you'll see it right there. But what did she say? She's like she said, she's she's just trying to like like it's about she's like it's about me that like I can't take I don't want to take responsibility and better for you. Like I just it's about me and like does that make sense? Sarah basically just said that this girl
Oh,
bringing
I think I know what she was trying to say. Like that. Like it wasn't about
the change for you. That's what she was like. Yeah,
what's that?
that that she was kind of making the point that the girl I dated was probably trying to like just express that I'm not willing to or I can't change or all that. I can't change for you, and it's just better if you leave.
Gotcha. Yeah, because like I see. Okay, because like from because again from my perspective, it was kind of like it was a very self focused emotion, right? It's like I'm a terrible person. You deserve better than me. Yada yada yada. But it still felt genuine. I think Sarah was picking up on the like that's a whole conversation. Anyways, like you can go on.
Yeah, that's kind of why I asked her instead of like one of the other like many narcissists, self-aware narcissists, because like I said, it's a guy to a girl, so I feel like she knows. And a lot of the stuff that when I when I after I was trying to figure out what happened and I started watching everyone's content, a lot of the stuff Sarah says, I did. Like I think one time, because like, do you really agree with like that you are essentially a child, maybe just emotionally? Is that true or like
I've heard that a lot. That like narcissism is stunted development. I don't agree with it personally, but like I see the arguments there as well. So
the girl I dated, she was 25 and she acted like a little kid basically,
yeah,
and they're like, oh, just leave the narcissist, kiss him on the head like a child, and go. And that's exactly the first time I like when I just like discarded her, or I just broke up with her.
yeah.
Yeah, I kissed her on the head, and I was like, this is, and it seemed very childlike. This is like, oh, I'm like abandoning my child. Like after I obviously I didn't have all those thoughts then because I didn't know what narcissism really was. I've heard the word obviously, but this and then in hindsight when I watch like her content, Sarah's content, and like, "Oh, that all happened so, like, almost exactly like she says it, or, like, exactly like what Sam Vaknin says, that's also true."
I see. I think it's interesting because I once read this paper that is hypothesizing about like why we get into toxic relationships to begin with, right? And it's because and like they hypothesize that we're trying to basically recreate the situation we had in childhood so that we can have a better outcome for them. And so I don't know if I'll ever go to the degree of saying, oh, we like narcissists are like just children, like regressed and stuff like that.
Mm.
But I will say that they are that we will make our childhood situations again. Does that make sense?
I think we all kinda tend to do that, and
Yeah, everybody does. Just the
would
narcissists are like a little bit more wild about it.
yeah, like, it's just more intense person, but
Yeah.
just like a super extrovert, like I say, sometimes a super extroverted person is just a more intense version of like what is normal, right? They're just more louder, talk more than someone. Like it's just a personality style. I think that's probably a better way to say it. Like you're not disordered, you just have a different personality, and you happen to be one of those. It's like there's people who don't have a personality disorder, but their personality is very abrasive, and like I wouldn't want to be friends with
Right.
them.
They're
Uh,
assholes.
yeah, what happened to just being a dick? Like,
See, and that's the thing is that those dicks still have good lives. I think is where it draws the line between disordered and just being an asshole, in my opinion.
I think they usually have better lives, honestly. I think sometimes I tell people like empathy is kind of like it's living in a
Empathy sucks.
bubble. What's that?
Empathy sucks.
How would you know though?
I don't. I just get it from the okay. I'll be real. Like dark moment. Like I literally see people like crying at other people crying, and my first thought is like, oh my god, they're being so fucking dramatic. Oh, they're faking it. Oh, like what is wrong with this person? But when I take a step back out of my dark brain, I'm like, okay, that's probably genuine. I just think, man, that would fucking suck to be this sad right now just because that person's dad died. Like, who cares?
Yes, like I they say it's people have always called me like a robot or like I'm emotionless. I'm like, but no, I kind of feel my emotions too much. Like maybe that's why I
Yeah,
kind of numb them
you
down. I'm
don't
like,
express them.
but emotions are irrational. Like if you really think about it, I think that if you could think like a narcissist but without it being a disorder, that would be very useful, like, to be able to operate like that in the world.
Like, take the anger out of narcissism, and you have one of the most rational people that's ever lived. But like our anger is just all over the fucking place, which is why see because I used to like think like, I'm a narcissist, so I'm the most rational person in the world. I'm so fucking cool, but like my anger rules me so much. So I'm like, well, I get that's anger's still an emotion, I guess. Oh well.
I I make a com I don't know, I'm very dogmatic and, like, about, like, Buddhism and stuff because it's helped me so much, but, if you look at, like if you know anything about, like, monks, those monks that, like, sit their whole life in, like, a Buddhist monastery, they've been
Yeah.
meditating years, they don't feel their like, they're almost like robots where, like, they won't get mad, they won't get happy, they're just, like, they're zen, right? That word, they're just completely
Yeah.
zen. And I feel like that's what a narcissist almost is, like, but they're like they've you're using it for, like, evil instead of, like, not that sounds bad, but, like,
Well,
you
they're
you
using it to get their self-esteem regulation, right?
just
It's
don't
like
I don't know if it's, like, 'cause I've never been in a narcissist's head, but I don't know if they're pushing down their emotions or if they just don't feel them. It's like, I've heard that they just don't feel, like, a lot of positive emotions at least.
a combination of both. From my in my experience, like on one hand, there's a lot of emotions I don't feel. I don't feel guilt. I don't feel empathy. I guess it's not an emotion, but you know what I mean. I don't feel. I don't know if I feel remorse. I don't think I do.
Mm,
There's some emotions I don't feel, and if I do feel them, it's very minor. There's some emotions I feel very strongly, like anger, but also there's a lot of emotions I do feel, and I don't want people to know that I'm feeling them. Like
mm.
if somebody insults me and I seem completely indifferent about it, it's not because I'm indifferent about it. I'm fucking raging internally, but I just can't show people I'm weak. You know, I have to shut down a lot of those emotions and show people that like, I can fuck. That doesn't affect me at all. So I have to have this kind of persona of like very nonchalant about a lot of triggers that would affect me really, really harshly. So it's a combination. I feel like the combination of the emotions that we genuinely don't feel or feel weakly, and our need to not show emotions, because showing emotions would be, again, it would make us look pathetic. I would look pathetic if I was showing people my emotions. Makes us look a lot more emotionless than we actually are.
Hmm. Yeah, so I guess it is more of just, like, hiding it and suppressing instead of not actually feeling them.
Again, combination of the two. So again, there's some emotions I don't. Well, and yeah, also have to think we don't know what half our emotions are. I
Mm,
don't fucking like when I was growing up. I had three emotions: good, bad, and angry. Those are the only emotions I knew, and everything else I had to kind of use context clues. Like I was like, oh well, I feel bad right now because this happened, so I must be feeling sad, maybe. And like I was fucking wrong half the time. I thought shame was the same as guilt for a long time because it's like, well, I did something shitty. I feel bad. I must be feeling guilt. No, it's shame. It's self hate. So it's
mm.
like, so there's a lot of things that go into the emotional landscape of a narcissist that make things really complicated and muddy in terms of how emotional we are.
That's another thing I've noticed too, where people say like, "Oh, narcissists are master manipulators," but I noticed that they have this weird thing where they don't really read social cues as well as like maybe a neurotypical person would. Something
How do
else.
you mean?
Where they'll get in situations where if something's very obvious, like, and then they're just like, "Oh, I didn't even notice it." Like they're not reading the room as well as like a normal person would. Does that make any sense?
I think I
Like
do.
I did
Do you
too.
have an
Like
example by? I think I pick you up on what you're saying. Do you have an example by any chance?
um like let's say it was like me and my ex and we were like drinking at a bar and we're all just having
Mhm.
conversation and someone is like having like this very like sad, like we're drinking, we're having this sad moment and my ex would just be like dead like dead face where she's like she's not reading the room, right? Like so you have like these gaps in your awareness. Does that make sense? Is that's kind of what I'm trying to get at.
Because for me, um, so I'm hyper attuned to how people are thinking and feeling as long as it's relevant to me. So like let's say I see somebody that's being sad and I don't think it has anything to do, like a lot of times I'll fucking assume it has something to do with me. But if it doesn't have anything to do with me, if it's not about their perception of me, I'm not even gonna be thinking about it. It won't even enter my radar because I'm only concerned in what other people are thinking about me in any given moment. And when it comes to that, I think I'm pretty damn good at it, maybe. But I'm constantly on the lookout, more or less, for any reactions towards me. If two people are having like a moment, fucking like I don't care. I'm not even paying attention to that. That's annoying at most.
Yeah, see, that's another thing I tell people that don't take it. People like, especially when you're this very sensitive, empathetic person, you
Yeah.
take things personally. But you just pointed out that a narcissist, like I said, you're not like planning this out in your head, like, oh, tomorrow I'm gonna manipulate my friend John, like, and you
John's going down tonight. No, like
because you're so like so me focused
yeah.
that you just you hurt people, not even like wanting to do it. It's just something you do, like
Yeah.
not maliciously, not with intent, which I think.
I've never hurt somebody and been like, I am hurting this person because I enjoy hurting people. Like that's never been a thing. I guess revenge could be an exception there, but like I've never gone on my way to like date somebody and it's like I'm going to date this person, then I'm going to discard them, and then I'll be happy because I discarded them. I don't even know why somebody would do something like that. But yeah, it's like a bull in a china shop. It's like we have our needs that need to get met, or at least that we want to get met, and we just kind of trample around everything around us without our only focus on our immediate needs.
Yes, that's what I mean. It's like a lot. It's like a lack of self awareness in a sense because you're so focused on you. And normal people do that all the time. Like I think the empath does that when you're like you're so focused on wanting this person that you're ignoring everything else. Like it's all right in front of you, but you want so bad to just like have this person. And why? Like it's probably like a bit of you're trying to regulate your emotions through someone, and then through someone who doesn't can't even regulate their own emotions. That's why it becomes just like very intense, like destructive, dysfunctional thing because it's like it's two
Yeah.
people functional trying to make it work. Like it's not gonna it's not gonna work.
No, that exactly. Yeah, it's uh,
We all get hurt as children.
yeah, we are you her as children. Okay. I don't know who should. Well, do you want to answer that for yourself, and I can also answer it for me?
Sure. Was I hurt as a child? I believe so. Like, I don't remember a lot of my childhood. I always have this theory that something bad must have happened where like 'cause up until like 9 or 10, I don't remember, but I've just always had like a poor memory for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So I'd like to say like I've had this conversation. I've met like very weird, smart and weird people, spiritual people, smart people, and I've always conversation with people that when I was like 8 or 9, had these very strange thoughts about like things I don't think an 8 or 9-year-old would think about where I was like, "What's the meaning of life? Like, what is there's no right and wrong." Like, I didn't really believe in like, I was amoral. I was like, morals are just something that people invented, which is kinda like what narcissists do. I'm like so
Mhm.
now that I've went through all this, I'm like, "Am I a narcissist?" Like, I think my father is probably like a narcissist. My mom is like something borderline or something. So I never had a chance. And it's not that like your parents did the best, right? They were trying to put food on the table, they were trying to whatever, like and some things, yeah, are like really unexcusable, but you gotta think and now that I've grown up and they've revealed stuff, my parents went through like they were traumatized by their parents and probably their parents were traumatized by their parents. So
Yeah.
like generational like trauma that we're all living through. So yeah, I was hurt as a child, but I think part of watching content like this and try and getting better is just realizing that you don't have to be your trauma.
And it makes it hard, doesn't it? Because I'm the narcissist, and yes, I had a very shitty childhood. But it's like my parents weren't evil. Nobody abuses for the intent of, well, okay, I'm sure there's some people who are just sadistic and they do that
Like
for that, right?
psychopath.
Yeah, exactly. Like somebody who just completely is sadistic and has no other feelings. Sure, there can be people like that. But for me, it's like my parents were traumatized me. But at the same time, it's not like they were getting off at me being traumatized. It's that they had their needs that they were trying to fill. They didn't know how to fill them, and I got caught up in the crossfire. And there's a lot of ethical questions there, like should they have kids until fucking they know their bullshit. But
Mm.
at the end of the day, it's they're nobody's they don't have to be a bad person just because I'm traumatized, right? They could be a bad person because for that reason, but in my opinion, I don't think they are. Which and that's makes it hard to grapple with trauma, doesn't it? It's like, oh, these people are not horrible people. They're not monsters. How can I grapple with the fact that I feel traumatized despite the fact that they aren't monsters? And it's something that's really you really got to put a lot of thought into, in my opinion. But yes, I was traumatized as a kid. Like it sucked. That's my short answer.
I think pretty much everyone that's gonna watch this is traumatized, but
Yeah,
but you can either sit there and identify it with it and like because what I feel a lot of people do is like they end up dating a narcissist or they have a narcissistic parent and then they just walk around with this chip on their shoulder their whole life, like, "I hate this person, they did this to me, woe is me," and it just becomes this identity, and it's just
yep,
another cope, it's just another form of cope, where I think the better thing to do, what I've learned to do through s so many different things is, yes, it happened to you, but just let it go and learn from it, but don't hold on to it, don't let it become your identity, just
oh yes, oh yes. I mean, and I think to some degree, like that. This is going to sound kind of. Oh, this might get some backlash, but like making being an empath part of your identity, or is probably the same as me being a narcissist, making
yeah, that's more of like the Paris Hilton syndrome, what the person said, like that's like, yeah, they become a narcissist because like, you, like, grew up with, like, a what's the term? Silver spoon in your mouth, like
yeah, and I've never like I'll be honest, I've never met a narcissist who hasn't had some kind of trauma in their life. I think maybe like I think sometimes neglect may be mistipped for being spoiled, in my opinion. It's like, oh, you can do whatever the fuck that you want. Your parents just aren't around. That's
I
a
ha-
form of abuse right there, and it could look like spoiling.
I haven't really met those type of people where they say they were smothered, like, like given everything they
Yeah,
want, told that you have to like those type of people that like you have to succeed. And I suppose like I've never met anyone like that, but I'm sure you can make a narcissist like that too, I guess.
sure. Potentially. I don't know. By the way, I do have to use the bathroom real quick, but don't worry. Will I will be making sure that you get your all the.
We only got like, you want to just cut it? I mean, we only got like 4 minutes left, so
Dude, I mean, like, do you? I mean, like, I'm willing to go on for like 10, 20 more minutes if you want to. I'm
yeah,
cool.
that's here. I'll stay. You take a bathroom break and I'll stay.
All right. Think of a question for me or something.
Okay, cool. Eye opening, guys. I uh I'm like winging it. I didn't want to have all these questions. I didn't want to like him. I, I I honestly wanted more of the story, but like for them, for like a narcissist, it seems to be a very personal thing. It seems like it sucks, right? I'm sure no one likes to be dysfunctional. No one likes to. I'll be eating 10 minutes. What is your name? Jan Lowansky. I'm not sure what that means. But I hope you have a good meal. I don't know. I don't know what that meant. Um, but yeah, it sucks having to. I'm sure. I mean, I'm not a narcissist, but I'm sure it sucks like being dysfunctional. Like I was saying early on in the interview, I was dysfunctional. I couldn't like in the same context that like it's hard to function in the world when you're a narcissist and you're like always shooting yourself in the foot. I was kind of the same way, but in like I guess an empath way where I didn't know how to stand up for myself. I was people pleasing too much and like I wasn't getting my way. I was playing not to lose instead of playing to win. What is my name? I'm still not sure what you mean. I'm sorry. Like I mean, it's me. I'm the empath meets narcissist. That's my YouTube channel, and that's Jacob, the nameless narcissist. I'm not sure what you mean. Sorry, but we're gonna go like another. I think you said like another. You're back in 10 minutes. And this is gonna get uploaded later on. But anyways, it's interesting. Like you to really. I think it just helps to understand the people you dated. To that's what we're all trying to do.
All right, I'm back.
Yeah, Jen. I don't know. I'm Ruben. That's Jacob. Like I don't know who's Jake and John. She's
Jake
someone's
and
like
John, my
someone's.
dudes, Jake and John.
I'm like,
Okay, yeah, what's going on?
some people like the people who there's so many weirdos out there. Like that's why I don't blame narcissists for anything. Like I think it's better to take personal responsibility. Ruben. Yeah, that's me, but with an E and not an I. Anyways, instead of because people hyper focus on other people, it's like that person's a demon, it's their fault. But
Yeah,
just take some personal responsibility. Why did you why did you get into this relationship? Why are you staying? Why can't you let them go? And that's how I've gotten over every dumb thing that's happened to me.
yeah. I mean, you have to. Like, there's no way to be able to, like, you can't grow constantly being like, well, I was persecuted, right? There's no growth to be had there. It's just, oh, like, you have to be able to ask yourself those hard questions of what did I do in this relationship that made me unhappy? Why did I stay in it sometimes? Why why did it pan out the way that it did? You know, maybe neither person was like toxic in themselves. Maybe they were just toxic together. You know what I mean? Maybe it's an independent situation.
Oh, I'm toxic, that's for sure. I'm toxic.
Same, same. Yeah,
I'm
like don't get me wrong, I'm toxic as fuck, but
it's just so much more fun to be toxic, but it's bad. Like I honestly don't like. That's why I just identify with you guys a lot. I don't think I'm ever really gonna. A lot of the stuff like narcissists, like at least from the ones I know, like probably does this resonate with you? Like a normal 9 to 5, 2 kids, a dog, like a dog and a wife, and just Netflix every night. That sounds super boring to you, doesn't it?
Fuck that. Like, I would kill myself. Like, I mean, no, like, I'm not okay with that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm sure even dating empaths are is I get super clingy. I'm like I regulate myself through you. Like that's why I think I might be like I don't know, like borderline. I feel like I can't be like just 100% healthy. Like what I do is not normal. I'm this very extreme person. That's why I've always been attracted. I think I've dated a few. I think my past partners, the last one for sure, I think has like a full on personality disorder. But the girls I've dated in the past too have they're pretty narcissistic, very self-centered, and I like these very intense relationships. When someone is healthy and like nice and like consistent and boring, like they're boring. Like I can't. Yeah, like there's something wrong with me too. Like I can't. And I've heard people say this too. Like I can't. They like dating. They get into this relationship with a narcissist and they meet someone that's like normal.
Yeah.
They don't like them.
I've
What would
heard
you
that too. You guys get a taste of what real fun looks like. Narcissist. Let's go.
do? It'd be so fun like that. I think that's what I think a lot of people are going. I want to go back to those first 3 months and relive it. That was so much fun.
As you're chasing at that point, yeah, right. I feel that. Fuck, the first 3 months are what I'm chasing too. Shit.
Yeah, it's that initial feeling that's it's amazing, right? That like infatuation stage, and then it's like, oh, this is boring now. Let's go find some. And I'm like that too. Like even with her, there was a point where I was like, I'm tired of this girl. I want to go meet other people, even though I was like madly in love with her. That's how crazy my mind is too. So we're not. What would you say is your best piece of advice to someone who can't let go of a narcissist they're with or they dated or whatever?
That they can't let go of a narcissist. I mean, ooh, fuck. I guess I don't have the best advice for it because obviously I'm the narcissist, right? But
Hmm.
like I would always ask like what like ask yourself why you're so hung up on them. What about them drug you in, and what about them kept you in, and what about them is keeping you in right now? Because I think you're going to hit a source of your trauma just by asking yourself those questions. Something that you actually genuinely have to work on. Because personally, because for me, I kind of, all like every time a relationship ends, I have to ask myself, okay, why am I so upset? Usually, it's because my ego's bruised, or I'm just being nostalgic, or something like that. But that speaks to my own trauma. That speaks to my own issues, and I can actually address the issue as opposed to trying to seek this band aid, which is getting back with the person. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's what people are like. Well, I'm hurt right now because I'm not with this person. Therefore, I have to go get back with them. Not the best move, typically.
You know, I say the same thing to people. I'm like, just you don't have to meditate, but just sit there. Don't be on your phone, nothing. Just sit in silence and really think about what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
And you'll start that your mind and body kind of know like what to do if you just instead of because people run away like they want to get back to this person just get this fast way or they end up like drinking or what distracting themselves to not think about like what happened. But what they just really need to do is just suck it up and face what happened, and you'll be able to like get over it easier.
Yeah, just live with it for a few seconds.
But yeah, but, like, dude, I did it too. Like for a whole year, I was like drinking every day. I was like trying to like like not think like dissociate in any which way possible. But like the second like I just felt like I was sick of like living that way, I got better in like a month.
Yeah, yeah. Realizing it's like, oh wait, maybe the issue is with my lifestyle right now.
Another people are weird too, so it's good. Like I think people need to go back until they learn that life lesson. What would you say is like the best way? What would be the best way to hoover you? What would get your attention back if you want to
To
admit that?
get me,
It's personal, but what would be like a good way to get someone to get their narcissist back? Maybe just give it from your from your perspective. This is the stuff people want, dude. Like people people don't
I
want
mean,
they want their narcissist back.
it depends where I'm at with the person. If I want them desperately back in my life, like this could be a friend or romantic partner, whatever, I'm probably going to be stalking some of your socials. Like not. obsessively, but like I'll be paying attention to them to see if there's anything that could remotely have to do with me. Spotify was a big one for me, where I would like, it's like, was this playlist about me? They haven't talked to me. Maybe they made a playlist about me. So I'd be watching or something like that. But like honestly, if like it's not hard to for me, it's just not hard to hoover me back. It's like,
Hmm.
oh, send me a message being like, I miss you so much. I apologize for everything. And then okay, it's like, okay, you win. I'm back in your life basically. But the issue is that sometimes I will be I can't think I don't know if I would do this, but sometimes I fantasize about it, about people coming back and me being like, oh, well, I don't need you. You were a piece of shit. So they would beg more. Right. I guarantee there's any narcissist that if you begged enough, they'd let you back in their life and they would fucking love every second of it. I don't recommend that, but they would.
I mean, I've done it where I just send like the heart eyes emoji, and then
Yeah.
it's back on. It's that simple. Like if you really want this, and it's just some people are gonna have to. Like I had to go back a bunch of times, so like I had to learn my lesson the hard way. And I try to tell people, don't learn the lesson the hard way. Just walk away and save some heartache and wasted time and all that. But maybe it's just something you have to go through.
Yeah, I mean, like if that's a lesson you gotta learn, it's a lesson you gotta learn. Like at the end of the day, and in fairness, I could tell somebody 1,000 times, like, no, your relationship. Okay, the issues in your relationship are still going to be there when you go back, but that will never be as impactful to for them if they go back multiple times and then get their heart broken multiple times. Right? They're going to keep that second situation. They're going to keep that with them the rest of their life. If they just listen to me, they kept it for that one relationship.
You have this is I'm gonna ask some personal questions for me. Do you have anyone? I feel like I'm in a stalemate right now with my ex, where she she discarded me, and she said she has like a new relationship and all this. He's better than me, blah blah blah, whatever. And but also I kind of this is so toxic. And then I after that, like after I saw her the last day, I sent her a text and I was like, not in a mean way. I was like, oh, blah, blah, like it was one of those, those long texts people send at the end of a relationship,
Yeah,
like you, but this is goodbye forever. So I ended up because she discarded it. I guess maybe to her it felt like I discarded her again because now I and because she because right narcissists want to do that where they want to end it on their terms, but through that text I kind of regain control power or whatever. Like and now I discarded her again, and now she's the one I re-discarded, right? Like supposedly she was trying to win that breakup, and now I kind of won it.
that could be the case. I mean, like, because here's the thing: is that for me, um, I can't comprehend being broken up with or like a relationship ending on somebody else's terms or like them winning the breakup, right? Without it meaning that, oh, they think that they're better than me. They think they can do better than me. So now I'm worthless, right? So that's a game we're constantly trying to play is that if I leave you first, then you're worthless. I'm not. But then, vice versa. It's like, okay, if you manage to leave me first, then I'm a fucking broken piece of shit. And that sucks.
And I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just I think this is just how this push and pull of these type of relationships. And my point in saying that is I I hate all the like hoovering, like love bomb. I hate all those terms. I think they're so cheesy. And
Yeah.
it also when you put like terms like that, it kind of gets you stuck in this little box of like this is a love bomb and it has to go exactly this way because this is what. But
Meanwhile, all narcissists are different.
every
Like,
yeah, yeah.
I mean, hell, you like look at Sarah. Like, she says that like nobody could have. She would never re-idealize somebody after a discard. I do like consistently, honestly.
Hmm.
I'm, and we both are narcissists. Like, we're all different. We're all going to react differently. And those terms of like Hoover, discard, blah 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 blah, like that can apply to anybody, not just narcissists.
I've love bombed. I've obviously like I'm telling you, I've
Right?
discarded. Um, am I a narcissist? But so I hate the term, but flying monkey. After I sent that goodbye text for the goodbye forever text, she sent like a flying one of her friends to like text me. I never responded to her, And then I've been getting, because before this, I would never get random texts like this, but then I would get like through all different types of apps, through text, through like different messaging apps. I get these random people asking me like, "Hey, let's go on a date," or like I feel like it's her. Like, do you ever do that where you text from different numbers to try to like get into someone? Like, what is that? Have you ever done that?
I
No.
can't relate to that. If it, let me put it this way, if she is doing that, fuck, you fucked her up something terrible. Jesus, if that's her, then fuck, dude. I don't know what you did, but it fucked her up. No, I've never done that before. If I'm being honest, I'm trying to even think of a reason that I would, other than just like fuck with them. That's just a fuck with them. That's the only thing I can even think of. Because usually when I leave a relationship, I'm trying to prove that like I don't care. It's like okay, yeah, this relationship's over. Whatever it happened, who cares? This didn't mean anything to me, and I'm trying so hard to like prove to myself, like myself included, and whoever I was with, that they were worthless.
Yeah, like I said, I maybe I triggered some of that abandonment anxiety when I first left her, and
Good.
she
That's what would get me obsessing over somebody. Is if they left me first, I would obsess over them. I'd feel that abandonment anxiety, that feeling of being worthless, and not understand why I'm feeling it. Right? I would like brood there, thinking that I must be heartbroken because I'm mistaking those emotions for a heartbreak.
that's interesting because a part of why I kept going back to is I felt like, empathy or guilt. Like I felt guilty. Like I was like, I hurt this person. Like I shouldn't have never acted this way in a relationship. And I kept going back trying to help her. Like I would help her out financially or just like make up for being such an a hole.
Really,
But when I yeah, but when I asked like my friends, like my guy friends, was like, but yeah, dude, she pushed you to that point. Like that's not you. Like she made you cheat on her. She made you blah blah blah. I'm like, but I still feel bad, and I think maybe that's how why people like these empaths get like stuck with narcissists is you get treated bad, and then you end up treating them bad, and because you aren't like you're more empathetic, you start trying to like make amends, and then it just becomes this cycle. Like, oh no, but you treated me bad, so then the narcissist. Does that happen? Do you are your relationships like on and off like that a lot, where you
I've
goes
only
back?
had one on and off relationship, and that's with somebody with pretty. And this is going to sound bad, but like pretty heavy borderline traits.
Okay.
But that was a whole different scenario. Here's the thing: if you leave me first, I will get back together with you in an instant if you let me.
Hmm.
That's generally how it kind of goes for me. But usually I'm not the one to be left first. So I only have a limited amount of like examples. But there's one that she would leave me first consistently, and we were on and off for 3 years.
Yeah, the on and off period has been longer than the time I was actually with her. Like,
Yeah,
obviously it's not high, but the period where we just kept going back and forth and like maybe man, I at this point I don't even know because I feel like I said I took on a lot of her traits because I've never done this before, but I would ghost her for like a few weeks, few months, and then hit her back up. Do you do that, or it's just that one relationship was like that?
I wouldn't ghost out of nowhere. I would like have some like big blowout. I'd like rage about something, block them for a little bit, and then like unblock them, wait for them to text me, hope that if they didn't, I'd very ashamedly be like, "Hi," and then see where it went from there.
How about this? If someone really wants to be in a relationship with a narcissist, what would you tell them? If they just if you had to give them advice, like you couldn't talk them out of it, and you're like, this is how you're gonna make it work with this person. What would you tell them?
So I would tell them to.
Obviously, in the you would first say like, oh, you should probably not, but then like, but if they don't want to accept that, then what would you?
I guess my thing would be if you're trying to get into and maintain a relationship with a narcissist, the best thing that you can do to make that healthy at all is to almost forget that they're a narcissist. You have to treat them as an individual first and based on their own reactions. Because if you're treating it as I'm getting into a relationship with a narcissist, when we're viewing it through that lens, everything they do is going to be through that lens of narcissism. You won't trust anything. And a relationship does need trust. So if you want to do it, I probably won't recommend it. It depends on the situation. I probably won't. But go into it like it's just another person.
Yeah, but like narcissists need love too, right? Someone. Do
I
you?
hope so.
Well,
Please.
maybe that's the wrong word. Narcissists need relationships too, because they don't. I think I heard one of your therapist said like you just got to be like a serial. What is like
A
serial?
serial monogamist.
I think see that's what I
She
want to
did
be.
say that, yeah. I'm not. Me and her have been going back and forth whether I do need to do that or if I can genuinely love or not. I don't know. I'm more pessimistic than she is.
Do, is that something you kind of like? Is that because as me, I think a lot of empaths are like very simpy and like like hopeless romantics. Where I'm always trying to find like my true love. Is that like a thing for you? Are you always trying to find a relationship, like a long lasting relationship, or do you have you given up on that?
Every single relationship I enter into, I'm like, I found my soulmate finally. Finally, somebody will understand me. Finally, my soulmate. But then that eventually fades away. And I start looking at all their flaws and being like, oh, this isn't the perfect person in the world. Got it. And that's where cheating can come in, or me leaving them for somebody else because I'm like, oh, well, what if they're my soulmate? I'm always craving that high at the beginning of what if this is my soulmate, and it never is because nobody can ever live up to my insane fucking expectations.
Yeah, see, I relate to that a lot because I think normal, healthy people get to that point and they're like, okay, now we got to work on maintaining this. Where I guess a narcissist and definitely me, I'm like, well, this isn't fun anymore. I'm just gonna go recreate this feeling with someone else.
In fairness, I'm usually act like I'm never like, oh, it's not fun anymore. It's like this anxiety. I'm like, wait, what if they're not my soulmate? What if the perfect person for me is still out there? What if I'm holding myself down by being with this person because and like I can't even find my soulmate now? It's the fantasies. It's
Well,
the in the diagnostic criteria, the fantasies of ideal love.
see, like I guess that's like another opposite side of the coin where at that point it's I get bored and it's like apathy. I'm like, this isn't exciting anymore. So this
No,
can't
okay.
where I guess I never. But see, that's maybe that's why I'm so addicted to her. Because if I were to see her right now, even though all the stuff she's done to me, it'd be exciting. I'd have that spark again.
Yeah, yeah.
No one's
No,
ever,
and I get craving that feeling too. Oh God, do I?
no one's ever had that spark for me where they're always like they have people always lose like their luster, their like shininess.
Yeah,
For me, even though I got bored in that relationship and I was being treated so bad or whatever, I kept staying because like that person was still so. I wonder what that is. It's some kind of trauma response where like this person is just so exciting. There's something about them like dangerous about them. I don't know. That's maybe that's why we get empaths get so pulled to the narcissist. Maybe they just really push our trauma buttons and yeah, like I said, there's like because now when I in hindsight haven't seen her in 3 months, I'm like, ah, this isn't like a pretty normal person. She's not ugly, she's not super pretty, she's not like she's not
yeah.
and think about it, it's kind of boring. Like our conversations were never that interesting. I've had more interesting conversations, but there's just this like background excitement to her. Well, yeah,
Like you're remembering all of like the emotion driven moments.
yeah, that too. I think that's yeah, she like elicits these very exciting emotions in me. And
Yeah,
like it's not like I don't she's not you could say it's like, oh, it's because she's like the prettiest person I've ever dated, which isn't true, or like she's the smartest person I've ever dated. And, like none of that's true. There's just something about her that I can't put my finger on it. And I said that too I think I said in a video where I met her at this bar that I would go to, and I've met other people at that bar. But there was something about her when I met her, like there was like a spotlight on her, like and from that first, like it was I did this very fun, like goofy thing where the first night I met her, I'm like, I'm gonna date this person. I'm gonna find a way to like make this girl my girlfriend, which is not
yeah.
like typical for me. I'm like, people don't aren't that interesting. But something about her made me like really pursue her. And
Mm.
I one night. Like I didn't get her life story or anything. I just met her for one night. So there's like some deep seated like traumas there that like really combine the
You
empath and
guys' defense mechanism really played into each other in a really profound way, to say the least.
what I like I say to other people when I talk about this relationship is she reminds me a lot of my dad. Like
That's a
not
lot to unpack.
sense obviously, but in her personality,
Yeah.
very mean and rude. And I like that too. Like when girls are like very shy and timid, I'm like, ooh, like speak up for yourself.
Yeah,
I like
honestly, it's like that's
and
pathetic.
toxic women. I can't put my finger on it, but I do. That's why I feel like I'm doomed to just get in these bad relationships forever.
Ah, you're not doomed.
And
You just have work to do on yourself.
I've been doing it for 30 years now, and I still haven't. I think it's more fun that way. I don't think I want
You're like, I want to heal. Nah,
it.
like no matter how many
Hey,
years, it doesn't matter how many years you've been doing it. It's never fucking over. That's for sure.
I don't want to be one of those guys that's like a forever bachelor. Because a lot of older guys tell me like, "Oh, you'll get over it someday," but I'm like, it's been 30 years, guys, and I don't see any slowing down. But I don't know. I'm talking like I'm old, but maybe when I hit like 40, I'll start feeling different.
Maybe. I mean, how like fucking nobody can tell you what your own journeys is. Your own journeys is Jesus. What your own journey is. I mean, how like I'm not going. Like, I hate when people are like, "Oh, you'll get over it, man." Like, I don't fucking know if you will or not. Maybe you won't. Maybe you're going to be fucking hung up on this girl forever and shit like that. Maybe you like, you know what I mean? But also, maybe like, despite being hung up on her, you meet somebody else that it excites you even more, even though you still also think about that girl. Like, or maybe you're not. Maybe you just die a sad person. Who fucking knows? Like, I'm never going to tell somebody that, oh yeah, you'll get over it, things will be great, etc., because I'm not you. You got your own journey to do, and fucking hopefully it works out good. But I'm not going to make promises here saying that it will.
Yeah, that's a truth most people don't want to hear. Is just because you haven't met the person like your ideal partner doesn't mean you ever will. But also
Mm,
another, I think one of the maybe it's a personal thing, but one of the best ways I found to get over a relationship, and I think narcissists do this too, but in like a different way, like it's in a healthy way. But
yeah,
I just other people and I get over them quicker, which isn't the healthiest thing to do for anybody, but it works. Like it I know it's toxic advice, but it
there's a
works.
reason why rebounds are a thing.
Yeah. Oh man, this stream got very toxic. It just
It's fine. Yeah, that happened. Maybe you gotta cut some of this out. Oh well. But yeah, it is getting to a point that I do probably have to go though.
yeah, no, yeah. No, thank you for the extra time. Yeah, it was really fun, eye opening talking to you. It was a fun time.
Oh, of course. I'm glad it was helpful. I sit here and I'm like, man, I'm saying like nothing. Like I'm giving no real insight right now. Man, this is a waste of time.
I mean, at least personally, I had a lot of epiphany. I'm gonna rewatch this later on because I had like a lot of epiphanies during this, and that's
Oh,
my
fun.
content like this. I feel like all the content is just recycling stuff. People are just trying to get views, but no one's. I feel like no one's really helping people.
I don't either. That's
You guys, I think you guys are helping people more than all of like the guy who's made his 50th love bombing video that's saying the same thing, like because he just wants more views.
yeah. It's something that I have like sworn that I'm like I will never reuse content. I can't do that. I want to actually offer something with every video that I have. But yeah, who knows? But yeah, well, still, I'm glad it was insightful though.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you for having me.
yeah, of course, yeah. Hopefully we can do this again maybe someday.
Hey, yeah, sure. Hit me up anytime, dude.
Yeah, later.